There are exactly 85 prescription medications currently sitting on the FDA's official Grapefruit Interaction warning list. Three of those drugs are among the absolute most commonly prescribed medications for adults over the age of 60. Together, they are swallowed daily by close to half of every single senior in this country. The biological interaction between these drugs and grapefruit is not subtle. If you are taking the wrong medication and you drink a single glass of grapefruit juice, the levels of that drug in your bloodstream can violently skyrocket. The levels can reach 2, 3, and sometimes 5 times the intended dose. Your body experiences what is essentially a massive toxic overdose, even though you took the exact amount your doctor prescribed. This terrifying effect lasts 24 to 72 hours from a single exposure, and almost no patient is ever explicitly warned about it at the pharmacy counter. I am Dr. Marcus Okoro. On this channel, we strip away the medical jargon and walk directly through the published research on the medical decisions that dictate your survival after the age of 65. Today, we are going to look under the microscope to see exactly what grapefruit does inside your digestive tract. We will break down the 3 massive medication categories that turn into lethal poisons when combined with this fruit. I will reveal the single most dangerous drug on this list, the one patients are almost never warned about, and I will give you the 4 non-negotiable rules to keep your bloodstream safe. The story of exactly how the medical community discovered the grapefruit drug interaction is incredible, and it is absolutely worth knowing. Back in 1989, a Canadian researcher named David Bailey was studying a blood pressure medication called felodipine. He desperately needed a way to mask the bitter, awful taste of the drug for a clinical trial. He chose grapefruit juice, completely reasonably assuming it was just a harmless neutral mixer. When the lab results came back, the drug levels in the trial subjects had exploded to 2 to 3 times higher than anyone expected. Bailey's team immediately published the finding in the Lancet medical journal in 1991. It was the very first documented case in modern medicine of a food directly interfering with drug metabolism in a clinically catastrophic way. The entire discovery was a complete accident. Since then, brilliant researchers have isolated the exact biological mechanism. Grapefruit contains highly specific chemical compounds called furanocoumarins. When you consume them, these compounds aggressively block a vital enzyme in your small intestine called CYP3A4. CYP3A4 is the primary enzyme responsible for breaking down and destroying many medications before they can ever reach your bloodstream. Normally, when you swallow a pill, your intestine actively destroys a massive portion of the dose during the absorption process. The pharmaceutical manufacturer mathematically accounts for this destruction when calibrating your prescribed amount. The dose you take is precisely calibrated for your normal, everyday CYP3A4 activity. But when the grapefruit blocks that enzyme, the medication passes entirely through your intestine perfectly intact. Vastly more of the drug reaches your bloodstream than the dose was calibrated for. Your blood levels violently spike. Minor side effects that would be extremely rare at a normal dose suddenly become highly likely. And side effects that would be serious at a normal dose suddenly become potentially fatal. The effect lasts so long because the grapefruit doesn't just temporarily paralyze the enzyme, it physically destroys the CYP3A4 protein molecules. Your body has to completely manufacture brand new ones from scratch, and that takes 24 to 72 hours. So, a single harmless glass of grapefruit juice on a Monday morning can actively mutate your medication metabolism all the way through Wednesday. I want to introduce you to a patient named Walter. Walter was 68, a retired contractor. He had been taking 40 milligrams of simvastatin every night for 8 years to manage his cholesterol. His lab numbers were flawless. He felt completely fine. One December, Walter's daughter sent him a massive box of fresh Florida grapefruits as a holiday gift. He had never really been a grapefruit person, but he appreciated the gesture, so he started eating half a grapefruit with his breakfast every single morning. About 10 days into this new routine, his calf muscles began aching severely. He assumed he had just overdone it on a long walk. But 2 days later, the pain was so agonizing he could barely walk to the bathroom. He looked down into the toilet and saw that his urine had turned the dark, terrifying color of black tea. He was rushed to the emergency room. His creatine kinase, the primary medical marker of severe muscle damage, was over 50 times the normal upper limit. He was actively in the early stages of rhabdomyolysis. Severe rhabdomyolysis clogs your kidneys with dead muscle proteins and causes acute, complete kidney failure. Walter spent 4 terrifying days in the hospital hooked up to IV fluids, desperately trying to flush out his dying kidneys. The cause of this near-fatal crisis was simply the simvastatin and the grapefruit. The drug levels in his blood, on the exact same dose he had safely taken for 8 years, had skyrocketed high enough to literally begin dissolving his own muscle tissue. He had never been told. The pharmacist hadn't mentioned it. His cardiologist hadn't mentioned it. The interaction was glaringly printed on the FDA's official warning list, but it simply wasn't part of the routine, rushed medical conversation. Walter thankfully recovered. He is now on an entirely different statin, one that does not interact with grapefruit. He still receives the holiday delivery from his daughter every year, but the grapefruit goes straight to his neighbor. Before we get to the 3 highly dangerous medication categories, I must warn you about a massive misconception. The grapefruit drug interaction actually applies to a few other fruits. Pomelos, the massive, sweeter Asian relative of the grapefruit, possess the exact same chemical effect. Seville oranges, which are almost exclusively used in orange marmalades, possess the exact same effect. Tangelos and pomelo hybrids carry a partial risk. However, regular sweet oranges, mandarins, lemons, and limes are perfectly safe with these medications. This distinction is a matter of life and death, because patients who wisely switch from eating grapefruit to eating orange marmalade on their morning toast often falsely assume they have solved the problem when they haven't changed a thing. If you have ever experienced bizarre, unexplainable side effects after eating grapefruit while on a medication, drop a comment below with exactly what happened. Your experiences shape the research on this channel. Let us expose the 3 major categories. Category number 1, statins. This is the absolute most common biological collision by far, because statins are the single most frequently prescribed medication category in adults over the age of 60. The specific statins that interact violently with grapefruit are simvastatin, sold under the brand name Zocor, lovastatin, Mevacor, and to a slightly lesser extent, atorvastatin, Lipitor. Simvastatin and lovastatin are the most aggressively affected. Blood levels can explode to 3 to 5 times their normal, safe concentration with regular grapefruit consumption. Atorvastatin is moderately affected, usually triggering about a 50% increase in blood concentration. The brutal risk here is muscle damage, ranging from agonizing, deep aching all the way to the life-threatening rhabdomyolysis that nearly killed Walter. However, the statins that do not significantly interact with grapefruit are pravastatin, Pravachol, rosuvastatin, Crestor, and fluvastatin, Lescol. These specific statins are chemically metabolized through entirely different liver enzymes that the grapefruit compounds completely ignore. The life-saving fix is simple. If you are currently taking a statin and you absolutely refuse to give up your morning grapefruit, ask your physician about switching your prescription to pravastatin or rosuvastatin. Both are incredibly well-studied, widely available, and highly effective. The switch takes one single prescription and completely removes the interaction risk entirely. Category number 2, certain calcium channel blockers, specifically felodipine, nifedipine, and to a lesser extent, amlodipine. These are incredibly common, everyday blood pressure medications. When combined with grapefruit, the chemical interaction produces a sudden, catastrophic drop in your blood pressure, which is wildly dangerous for an older adult. The immediate symptoms include severe dizziness, profound lightheadedness when you stand up from a chair, fainting, and in extreme cases, devastating, bone-shattering falls. If you are on a calcium channel blocker to manage your blood pressure, you must explicitly ask your physician whether your specific medication carries a clinically significant grapefruit interaction. If the answer is yes, you either permanently ban grapefruit from your diet, or you discuss switching to an entirely different blood pressure medication class. ACE inhibitors and ARBs absolutely do not possess this interaction. Category number 3, amiodarone. This is the specific medication that almost 0 patients are ever warned about, and yet, in the published medical literature, it is mathematically the most dangerous combination of all 3. Amiodarone is a highly potent heart rhythm medication used to treat atrial fibrillation and certain lethal ventricular arrhythmias. It inherently carries a massive, incredibly complex side effect profile. It can heavily damage your thyroid, scar your lungs, and destroy your liver even at perfectly normal doses. When you add grapefruit to the equation, the blood levels rise meaningfully, massively increasing your risk of experiencing dangerous heart rhythm changes, severe, life-threatening slowing of the heart, and absolute toxicity to multiple vital organ systems. Amiodarone possesses one of the longest half-lives of any cardiac medication known to science, 50 days or more. Adding the enzyme blocking power of grapefruit on top of a drug that is already clearing incredibly slowly stacks the biological risk in ways that are terrifyingly hard to predict. The absolute fix. If you are taking amiodarone, you must never consume grapefruit, pomelo, or Seville orange in absolutely any amount. This is one of the very few drugs in medicine where the biological safety margin is so incredibly narrow that even occasional minor exposure is absolutely not advisable. You must discuss every single dietary change directly with your prescribing cardiologist. Rule 1. Read the tiny paper insert. The vital interaction warnings are legally printed right there. Most patients immediately throw the insert in the trash without reading a single word. If the word grapefruit is mentioned anywhere on that piece of paper, you must treat it as a serious medical threat. Rule 2. Interrogate the pharmacist directly. Ask them, does this specific medication biologically interact with grapefruit? Ask that exact question every single time you are handed a new prescription. Pharmacists are the ultimate experts on chemical interactions. They have access to vast databases that are far more comprehensive than what is typically discussed in a rushed doctor's office. The conversation takes exactly 30 seconds. Rule 3. Treat pomelos and Seville oranges exactly like grapefruit. They share the exact same active enzyme-blocking compounds. Some patients successfully and diligently avoid grapefruit, only to unknowingly consume a massive dose of pomelo in a fancy fruit salad or spread Seville orange marmalade on their toast. The biological interaction is absolutely identical. Rule 4. Respect the 72-hour rule. A single glass of grapefruit juice violently alters your drug metabolism for up to 3 full days. There is absolutely no such thing as safe spacing. Taking your medication 12 hours before or 12 hours after eating the grapefruit does absolutely nothing to avoid the chemical interaction. The only biologically safe approach is total permanent avoidance for the specific medications on the FDA warning list. Walter sent me a photograph last month. He is standing in his daughter's kitchen, holding up that massive holiday box of grapefruits with a knowing half smile. Stuck to the side of the box is a bright yellow sticky note that reads, "For the neighbor, absolutely not for me." His statin prescription has been successfully switched to rosuvastatin. His muscles have miraculously, fully recovered, and his cholesterol is locked perfectly in the target range. He told me afterward that the absolute worst part of his ordeal was not the agonizing rhabdomyolysis itself. It was the chilling realization that the warning had been sitting publicly on the FDA's list for years. The medical fix would have been one simple 3-minute phone call to his cardiologist. The conversation that would have prevented all 4 terrifying days of his hospital stay had simply never happened in any of the dozens of routine, rushed appointments he had attended while taking simvastatin. If you currently take a statin, a calcium channel blocker, or amiodarone, I want you to pause this video right now, walk to your bathroom cabinet, find your medication bottle, and check if grapefruit is anywhere on the warning insert. If it is, and you have been consuming grapefruit, call your pharmacist this week. Not next month, this week. The conversation takes 3 minutes. The massive biological risk it removes is absolutely real. In the comments, tell me one thing. Has any pharmacist or physician ever specifically directly warned you about consuming grapefruit with a medication you are currently taking? My educated guess is that the vast majority have not. The patterns I see in those comments directly shape the life-saving videos I research for you next. Take care of your medications, read the labels, and I will see you in the next video.